Now it's time to inaugurate a new award, and this is a great personal honor for me as well. As you'll all hear, Senator Daniel Inouye has devoted his entire life to his country. And I am just awestruck to stand on the same podium with you, Senator, and listen to what he has given to his country. Born and raised in Honolulu, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, Dan Inouye was only 17 years old, but that didn't stop him. He headed up a neighborhood first aid team where he saw firsthand the casualties of war. He left his medical studies at the University of Hawaii in 1943 to enlist in the Army and served with the well-known 442nd Regimental Combat Team, known as the highly decorated Go for Broke Regiment. This was all for service members of Japanese descent. His unit was involved with several difficult campaigns in Italy. He received a Bronze Star and a battlefield commission as a second lieutenant. In an epic battle to take an enemy position, he heroically led his soldiers and refused to leave the battlefield, even after losing his right arm to a grenade. For his service to his country, Daniel Inouye was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and the Purple Heart. He returned home and, like so many others, went to college and law school with the help of the GI Bill, legislation that he would later influence for a new generation of veterans. In 1959, another first, he became the first American of Japanese descent to be elected the first congressman from the newly admitted state of Hawaii. Daniel Inouye never forgot how his military service shaped his career and his life. He was presented with the Medal of Honor in 2000 for his courageous and selfless actions. Today, he is the third most senior ranking member of the U.S. Senate. Can you believe that, third most senior ranking member? And he's chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, which could make him the most powerful person in the Senate, and the Senate Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, where he's been able to devote his energies to defense matters that strengthen our national security and enhance the quality of life for military families. In a 2003 letter to a young constituent who visited his office, Senator Inouye wrote, "Please remember that the story of my experiences during World War II is by itself not important. Much more significant are the values of the 442nd Combat Team and other segregated units, what they represented. That patriotism and love of our great country are not limited to any ethnic group, and wartime hysteria must never again lead us to trample on our democratic principles. It is those values and that patriotism that Senator Dan Inouye has lived out every day, and we honor you. We are struck by your service. We will always honor what you've given to your country, what you continue to give every day." Senator Inouye, thank you very much.
I thank you very much for this high honor, but as a veteran, I thank you for your service to my fellow veterans. And if I may, I'd like to spend a few moments speaking to you as a veteran. Today we began our hearings on the defense budget, and I decided that the first group to appear before us would be the medical group, the doctors and the nurses, because much has changed. For example, in 1943, 44, and 45, when I was in the service, 4% of my regiment had dependents. The rest, 96%, were single young men like me, 18 and 19. Today, the Army has about 57% with dependents. That changes the dimension and the atmosphere. You have families, children, and wives and husbands waiting for you. Secondly, today the high technology has brought about many, many benefits. But when you think about it, it also brought with us many problems. On my final battle, when I began my evacuation at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was by stretcher bearers, because it was a mountain trail. I got to the hospital at midnight. It took 9 hours to evacuate me. Today, if I were injured in Baghdad, the odds are I'd be in hospital within 30 minutes. Because of this long, stretched out evacuation time period, the so-called survival rate was not as good as one would find today. For example, my regiment began its warfare with 5,000 men. 12 months later, we had 13,000 going through the ranks. Our casualty rates were just unbelievably high. And we saw much action. But, believe it or not, we have no double amputee survivor, because they all died before they got to the hospital. Today, they all survive. We didn't have a single brain injury. No survivors. Today, most of them survive. They need your help. Many of them spend the rest of their lives looking up at the ceiling, not able to express themselves. There's a big difference. In my time, when we got back from the war, communities turned out and gave us parades and all of that. But today, it does not happen. Yes, there are celebrations in the military camp, but you don't find it in the towns and villages the way we did. Yes, times have changed. Today, the suicide rate has gone up, highest since we took records, maintained records. Spousal abuse has gone up. Child abuse has gone up because of the stress. And this is where you come in. You have made life much easier and much more pleasant for some of my fellow veterans, and for that I appreciate it very much. Thank you.